So welcome everybody to this week's open meeting. Welcome Harvey, also I forgot you. So yeah, what is this about? Well, this is not about finding your true self or going beyond whatever you can go beyond. Um, or losing the ego. At the same time, thinking that there is a true self to attain or to get or to find or to go beyond. Or thinking or believing that there is an ego who needs to be eliminated is already just simply this. But this meeting is not about becoming something or getting rid of something. At the same time, there may be an idea, well, I get rid of a lot of stress going to these meetings. Well, that's it already. So I would say at the same time, anything can happen. Thinking that these meetings are very helpful or annoying or that you come closer to your true self or whatever. Yeah, if that is the case, well, that's it then. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with thinking that these meetings are helpful or that they just, give a break in weekly activities, so to say. So yeah, welcome everybody. Maybe anyone has something to share this week. Like last week, Gio was full on what is the guy called? Well, anyway, I forgot his name. Anyone wants to share something? Rosa, you have a mouthful. Maybe you want to share something? No. Well, good. Let's sit here then.
Well, we were talking about the purpose of the meetings, actually, Sander, Sylvan and I, before we joined the meeting. And as you say, there's no sort of why do we talk about what already is? Because we're talking about it. And then there's sort of the reality of it. There's the kind of non-duality. And we can talk about that. And then there's the sort of going out, maybe having a cup of tea, sitting down, it seems like there's two sort of parallels, and it's just it's sort of curious, why are we all here having this conversation online when our ancestors probably were just out hunting and gathering, and it's it's just an interesting point, and
Well,
I don't really know what else to say.
I would say how you mean there are two parallels. Here it's not seen that there are two parallels. I mean, going out and having daily activity or doing work or whatever or sitting in a meeting, it's not two separate things or different. I mean, this is not less real or more special or less special than something else. It's not this is not something else than whatever is claimed to be something else. Like you're painting like this is a certain other reality than daily life, but here it's not like that. So maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more on the difference, the so-called difference, because there seems to be a difference between meetings. And also, I mean, I won't say that there is a thing called non-duality which we are talking about. I mean, saying that there is a thing called non-duality or not is already not dual. It's already not two, I would say.
Yeah, I
Sander,
guess
please go ahead. Yes.
I know, just to sort of answer the question, I think it's that sort of wanting to know why, which I think as humans there's going to be a natural curiosity, even if there is nowhere to get, or it's all just sort of happening. I think as sort of organisms, we're curious, we want to explore.
It's funny when you say, you say, well, there's nowhere to get. Well, that's also not what is being suggested here, I would say. So this is not about seeing that there's nowhere to get. So there may be an idea that there's nowhere to get, or there may be the lack of that idea. But, both are not getting anywhere on its own. So the idea that there's somewhere to get, or the lack of that idea, is already not getting anywhere. And at the same time, there can be a sense that I'm getting closer now. But that sense itself is not going anywhere. It's not getting closer to something else.
Yeah, thank you. I think the point is in enjoyment for me. I like hearing you talk, and as Rose has sent a few emojis, I agree. That's sort of how I'm feeling too. Can't really talk about
I somehow feel that, Sander, you are exaggerating the neglecting of the power of several people standing together, which in some countries is called satsang. There is
meeting in
something.
truth, right? Satsang is a meeting in truth, but you know, I wouldn't say that this is a satsang because this is not the meeting in truth, nor is the meeting untruth. You know, there's not something which is true and something which is untrue in an absolute way, right?
I don't know if that's correct, because a human form can feel that he's separate, and the human form can be free of such feeling. And
Yes.
several human forms gather together, and they or several of them does not have this feeling of separation. Something happens. Something seems to act more. I don't know how to define, but it seems to act.
Well, yeah, I would not disagree with that. If that is how it seems to be, then that is how it seems to be, yes. So, I mean, yes, can there be a sense of separation? Yes, obviously. Can that sense of separation also be not there? Yes, obviously,
Yes.
also. So here there's just, you know, the pointing out that either the sense or the lack of that sense of separation is just simply, you know, it's no one's sense. There's no you apart from it doing it. It has nothing to do with you. There's no you
That's true.
outside of the belief or feeling that there is a you or not. Yes, there may be a sense I'm separated. Yes, there may be thoughts claiming that you are separated from the screen or the computer or the other people in so-called other countries. Yes, this story seems to suggest, or thoughts seem to suggest, that maybe you are born into a world existing of separated objects in time and space. But without that so-called innocent stream of thoughts, there is nothing which is separated. I would say there's not, and we talked about this before, there's no actual feeling of being separated from life, from objects. Garrett,
Yes,
calling me.
certainly. I get what you are saying, and I'm just questioning whether the meeting of several human beings perceiving, understanding this, what you are saying, that eventually it has a sort of an effect.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe people want to share this. If there is an effect, you know, of going to meetings. I mean, anyone wants to share if this meeting?
Sander, we're not living in the absolute. We're living in the relative.
Oh, but I'm saying we're not living either in the absolute or the relatives. There's no one living in the absolute or the relative. That, you know,
Or both.
Absolute are not two separate, you know, universe.
No, they're not. No, they're not separate.
There's no one.
I would say we're living in
this.
both. I would say we're living in both the relative and the absolute, but they're not separate.
Well, I mean, I would say there's no one you know, living in the idea or the belief or the claim that someone is living somewhere or not.
Right.
Well, you would say that, but that's my experience. So I can only speak from my own experience, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's it then. So, I mean, that's totally fine. So if there is this genuine experience there, so how can I disagree? That's just simply how it seems to arise. So everyone, you know, so to say, can only speak from her or his or his own so-called experience, which is just basically an innocent stream of thoughts claiming this to be
Yeah.
this
I
or
mean, we
that.
have to be we have to be able to use words as if they
Oh,
mean something. You know,
yes.
otherwise, you know, where are we? I mean, if we don't attribute some meaning to words, even if they don't fully express what we experience, you know, that's the common currency, isn't it?
Hmm.
Of understanding. So, you know, there is undoubtedly the experience of this relative living of life where we have meaning, we have purpose. Sometimes something is right, sometimes it's wrong. We make judgments about things all the time. All of that is perfectly fine, perfectly normal. I don't think there's any conflict between that and what you might call the absolute or beingness. There's no conflict or separation between the two. Actually, I think we oscillate between the two.
No, but
Without
there is no
realizing it.
one oscillating, Tony. That's what Sander is saying. No one is oscillating. What is oscillating? You know,
I
I'm
wouldn't
not,
agree
I'm not,
that there's no one. I wouldn't agree with that. I would never say that.
but
I mean, you can say
what?
there's no one, but I mean, you can say that and I hear the words, but that doesn't mean anything to me.
It doesn't mean anything to me that there is someone oscillating. I mean, what could
Oh,
be?
I see. Well, it
what
does
could
to
be?
me. That's interesting, isn't it?
Okay.
It does to me. Yeah.
Yes, and let us remember that Sander never had this sense of being separated. It's very interesting, and I think we at least myself, I have this this. I heard him saying that he has never felt separated, and it has a certain impact in me. I mean, let's
Yes.
face it. Let's face it. I mean, there is no separation, and this guy is saying that he never felt he was separate. So how can he talk about someone or we being in two worlds? Which
So
two
how is it?
worlds?
Yeah, how is it that words are having an impact on you? I mean, how does that work?
Because it's more than words. You know, I try to figure out something that I have glimpses, and he's saying that he never felt separated, and it just, you know, it makes sense to me. It's not an absurdity. If I thought that it was an absurdity, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, but you're someone trying to figure this out. You're telling me there's no. You're telling me there's no someone, but
the question about the meeting that you posed, because I feel like there's a very palpable energy when you come into the meeting. Like that's what
Andrea,
draws me.
please, not again. I mean, for God's sake, not again. I mean, if you've got look,
answering
if you've got
Sander's
problems,
question.
Tony, sweetheart, shut up, please. Shut up. Now it's Andrea's turn.
Yes, I know, but she did this before. I mean,
Andrea,
energy.
come on, girl.
Come on.
Yeah,
Tony,
that's my
enough.
answer to the question. Why I come to the meetings? Like, what's the thing that happens? It's an energetic field.
There was this question, Tony.
come
So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Andrea, go ahead. So let her answer.
No, I already said it. That's the answer.
I'll just jump in and sort of agree with Andrew. I know there's no sort of sides, but you know, I think to Gio's point as well, it seems like there's a language which is the language of feelings, and you can't kind of access that so much with words. So we can be as logical as we like, but actually I think what I get from these meetings is something kind of intangible, which might be more kind of on the feeling scale, or that sort of space. I don't know if anyone
Yeah, which is not different of what Tony is saying. What Tony keeps saying, that nothing is separate, right? So, you know, those may be words or maybe more than words.
So Gio, so if it's not separate, and I'll try and be careful about my energy, just for Andrea's sake. If there's no separation, then what's the problem with the person? What's the problem with
there's no problem, Tony.
I mean, what I'm saying is the someone. If there's no separation, then what's the problem with there being a someone without separation?
Because the moment there is someone, there is a person, it means there is separation. That's my point of view. I know that probably people won't agree. That's the way
I
I
understand what you're saying, and it's good that you clarify that, but that's not my experience.
How can you, I mean, unless you are saying
I
that,
can't explain it to you.
Unless you are talking about persona, from the Latin persona, which is a personage, an actor.
Yeah, that would be a better word, I think.
Yes, but that's not a person.
I'm not talking about there being a separate entity. I'm talking about there being the expression of someone is happening from moment to moment, isn't it? Thoughts, we use language. When I say someone, that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, if you want to use the word persona, that's probably a better word, actually.
Okay.
But that persona, which is continually expressing itself and is changing always just from one moment to the next, that persona can be there without any separation.
Just a second.
Or at least that's my experience.
If he's changing from second to second, from moment to moment, there is no one there. Persona
yes,
is just,
I agree. Yeah.
There is no one there, right? So you cannot talk about a persona as being someone. It's just a set of reactions.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with you, but in terms of language, in terms of the way that we use language in a transactional way, we talk about someone. I do this. Do you like this?
Sure.
We do that because it's just a transactional way of talking, but at the same time, we can't identify that as someone, as a complete and whole entity who is immediately, because it would be like saying, wouldn't it? It would be like saying if you were a someone who was a complete entity, then you would have to have access all the time to every single memory that you've had in your entire life to have that complete person. And of course, that's not the reality, is it? So the personal, but I just wonder what some people say, you see, what they really mean when they say, well, there's no one here, there's no one. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what people always mean by that.
You started in one direction, now you turned it 180 degrees the other way around.
Yeah, we were talking about something more interesting from the beginning.
I'm still talking about someone. I'm talking about someone.
There is no someone.
Yeah, exactly. There's no someone.
There is only a set of reactions to circumstances from this.
And I just explained that when I use the word someone, it's just a transactional way of talking about the persona.
Okay,
I mean, I thought I'd made that clear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear.
I just had another thought Claire, when you said the difference between the meetings and real life, and you also wrote a post in the group about the difference, about writing a post about non-duality and living life. I thought that's interesting that you it's two different things, for you.
Well, it's an interesting sort of juncture for me, I think, because I was very much in the sort of non-duality world. And I think actually, Tony, you sort of said to me on that post, oh, I thought I'd lost you, Claire, because you know, you do get into that non-duality world, but what you also need to do is to sort of ground yourself. And Anthony set up that group about duality. And for me, that's just been a lovely balance.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I mean, I love duality. I mean, I think duality is a wonderful thing.
But there's no difference. Like,
No,
it's not
there's no difference. I mean, it's the same with
No
saying,
difference between what and, sorry, Andrea, no
nothing.
difference
There's no
between what
difference
and,
between anything. Everything is
no,
the same thing.
so there's no difference
Sorry.
between duality and what?
non-duality.
Yeah,
There's
of
no
course
difference
not.
between duality and what?
Non-duality encompasses everything. Nothing is outside of non-duality.
Yes.
Well, those are just words. I mean, yeah, I mean, we used, yeah, I mean, okay, Andrea, I think I take that point. I mean, in an absolute sense, I would say to you that that actually the reality is beyond both duality and non-duality. If you really want to push me on that, I would say that it's neither. But okay, we use duality when we give meaning to the relative field of life where we have opposites, and we you know we have experiences that come and go. We talk about duality, so it has a meaning.
But be careful, Tony, when you say we, because just before you said that it's how it's experienced there, and now it's like suddenly, you know, you say we as how, who you mean with we? Who are you
Are
talking
you
about?
enjoying your life, Sander?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's, you know, there's enjoyment, I would say, if I have to, you know, that's just what.
When I say we,
Yes,
when
but
I say we, I just assume there are others who share, you know, certain views and experiences.
well, yeah,
But at the
of
yeah, but
course,
at
there
the
may
same
be, you
time,
know, I'm not saying that there aren't, you know, it's not about wrong or right. But when we come to the, you know, it's the same with the balance between work and life. I mean, you know, these things are never gotten, you know. How can work not be life and you have something else which needs balance, you know, balance between what? So I think also what Andrea's saying and what Claire was saying in the beginning, some seem to live in two worlds, you know, they have, you know, this is something and then you have something else. But, you know, here there is not two, there's not something else, there's not
oh,
work
but yeah,
life and another
I think
life.
what Andrea's saying, yeah, I think what Andrea's saying is fine. I mean, I agree with that. On it depends on the context and way and the perspective. Depends on where you're talking from. From an absolute level, there's no difference, you know, between non-duality and duality. But at the same time, it's possible to make distinctions.
Yeah, but there's
You
nothing
know,
wrong with it.
it's all very well saying there's not two, but you can still make a distinction between a table and a chair, right? So
Yeah, but this is just simply how it seems to function, you know, dividing. But, you know, the dividing itself is already not separated from something else. There's nothing special about dividing, you know, or making, you know, or seeing objects or,
well, it's possible to have that insight, yes.
this, I would say there's just simply the functioning, you know, seeing a table and a chair, but, you know, in itself, it's already not separated. It's already not two. So even
Yeah, when you say that, it's
already not.
possible to have that insight. Most people wouldn't say that, would they? I mean, most people wouldn't say that. You have that insight that there's no separation, but that doesn't mean that everybody has that
Oh, no.
that
Exactly.
insight, right?
But here it's not seen, you know, here it's not felt as it's my insight or that there's something which is reached or which is gained. So you can call this an insight, but yeah, I mean, or a belief or an idea, so what? So it's just simply how it is expressed, so to say. I saw Harvey, you know, his face was like, Harvey, you want to say something? I saw some
Well, yeah.
there.
I hope you can all hear me because I'm on an iPad in one of my classrooms. Okay, good. So I think very often that there seems to be a tendency, and this is a general thing, but that we're trying to compartmentalize, or we're trying to identify with one opposite or the other. And we tend to, people will tend to argue, you know, for, is it non-dual or dual? And I often, and I understand why that happens, but I often think in a way that it's simpler if we just put aside the attempt to argue either side of it or the opposites, then it's just how it's showing up. And it may show up as one, it may show up as separate, it may show up as real, it may show up as unreal, but the words themselves trap us into trying to, we start to take positions of one versus the other. And not that I'm saying that's happening here, but I think in a way, I'm going to give you an example. Tony, about, I think it was a week or two ago, when you were talking about direct experience and then reflection on the direct experience. And you made a kind of distinction that when you're thinking about it, it's no longer kind of direct, because now you've got the reflection going. And I kind of played with that. And in the playing of it, yeah, there was I saw it, I knew what you were trying to communicate, but at the same time, even the reflection was it too, or that was the isness. So that was, to me, whether it was direct, indirect, it really fell away. It was just what it was. And then it was like that easiness into it. I didn't have to worry about whether I was reflecting, or the I, quote unquote, was reflecting or not reflecting. But in actuality, Tony, what you were talking about actually provided me a lot to think about. And it was very useful in looking at the language of it, but also kind of realizing that there was a tendency to try, for me even, to try to have a position one way or the other. And then after a while, no position was really needed. It just was what it was. And I just kind of dropped it. I just left it there.
Yeah, and it isn't what happened, Jack, Harvey, that
Right.
when you reflected, when you reflected on the reflective thinking and came to the conclusion that this is only this, that too was a reflection.
Yeah, and that's okay. See, the reflection,
oh, yeah, of course,
to me,
everything's
is just
okay.
as equal.
Everything's okay.
That equanimity is sort of there, no matter what's there. That's what is sort of innocently just showing up. And it was like a relaxation. Yeah, I didn't have to, didn't have a need for it to get resolved.
Well, that's great, because if the equanimity is there, regardless, then that's perfect. There's nothing more to say. If the equanimity is there, there's nothing to say.
But you know, either finding it direct or indirect is already directly this.
Well, yeah, that's that. See,
how can it not be direct? I mean,
yeah, right. See, the trap I was sort of falling into, and I've fallen into this before, was that, okay, well, I'm reflecting, so I lost the directness, but that was just, no, it's just right now, no matter how it's showing up, it's how it's showing up.
Yes.
Harvey?
Yeah, Rosa.
While listening to you, it looks like as if you got it.
I couldn't say I did it. I don't know. I don't even know if that works. I mean, getting it or not getting it, no difference.
Exactly.
Well, Rosa, you always say there's nothing to get, right?
Oh, I wouldn't say so.
Well, there are many things.
Oh, you have. You said it. You've said it. I've heard you say it.
Yeah, but you know me. I love.
I've heard you. I've heard you. I've heard you. I've heard you say it. I've heard you. I've heard you.
Sweetheart, love you too.
I
just simply love Harvey.
I was just.
It's like actually,
Tony.
Andrea posted a video a few days ago of this guy. What's his name, Andrea? David Nilsson or something. A young guy. It was his first
David
Zoom.
Nilsson.
I think you posted it. I watched a bit of it, and there are all these familiar stock phrases. I knew within 30 seconds that he was a Tony Parsons follower, and which he then confirmed later on. But then you see, he said something which I thought was interesting. He said, you know, I watched so many videos and all these YouTube videos, and then I went to see Tony Parsons, and then it just struck it for me. I got it. But then 5 minutes later, when he's talking about what is essentially radical non-duality, he then said, there's nothing to get. So I thought, oh, yeah, that's
Well,
interesting. You got it when you went to see Tony, but now there's nothing to get.
well, you
Yes,
can get
but
some cheap
the
food at the local store, maybe. I mean, yeah, are there things to get? Yes and no. I mean,
Yeah,
both,
totally, sweetheart.
both
Yes
and
and no.
neither. I
that's
mean,
what I
Totally,
was thinking.
totally.
I mean,
It's
what
so
is the
beautiful.
meaning?
Harvey,
Yeah.
do you want to continue?
Well,
Because
I was
Tony
just,
interrupted you
well,
so beautifully.
no, it's all right. It's all good too. But I was just going to say, you know, I like the word boom because it's just whatever. It's just boom, and that's it. It's just like
or Harvey, or bubble gum, you know?
or bubblegum or dog barking or frog croaking,
Or cookie
and
crumbling.
cookie crumb. There's that. It's that like a simplicity that it's hard. There's no even words for it, but whatever word, it just works. But I will say that, yeah, it's very easy at times for people. I know people get attached to a particular word, but in a way, whatever, it could be bubblegum, it could be the snap of a finger. That's boom, that's it. But
So-
even that is too many words.
I mean, when it comes to getting, there can be a genuine sense. I got it, I got it,
Yeah.
and there may be a lived sense that there's really a separated you who got it or not, this, and there can be an expression, well, I get it now. That's just simply what seems to be happening then. Saying I
Well-
got it, I lost it, feeling you got it, saying there's something to get, saying there's nothing to get. Both is not different. Saying
Yeah.
there is something to get or nothing to get is exactly the same. And it's completely the opposite.
Yeah, in a classroom, because I'm in a classroom right now without the students, but at the moment, but they'll say I got it or I had it, I lost it, and that's okay too. That's perfectly okay. Or they grokked it if we use the grok word or whatever. But so there is I get it, I don't get it at a kind of a different language level, and it's all okay because that's what's showing up.
I still think that there is something to get.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm
Geo,
screwed.
beautiful. Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
there is or there is. I didn't hear that, Gio. There is or there isn't.
I feel that there is something to get.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. Yes.
Mm.
Geo. I mean, we talked about this before. Sorry, Rosa. I have your hand up, so I let you first. Go ahead.
No, go, sweetheart.
So, I mean, this sense, you say, I feel. So I wonder how it feels, because for me, that's, it's something. I mean, I can understand if you say, I think that there's something to get. But, if you say, I feel that there's something to get, how does it feel if there's not that feeling? How does it feel that there's nothing to get? I mean, is it actually a feeling, or is there just a thought claiming that there's something to get, and maybe this thought will morph in, well, I got it now, or almost, or I'm close, or I had it and I lost it again.
Harvey, do you mean there is something to get intellectually?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, when I'm teaching, that there's kind of an intellectual understanding that my students might tell me, I got it, or I got it, and I thought I had it, now I kind of lost it. But there's a different kind of meaning in that contextual conversation. So in a classroom, I'm not going to say, using the words get it can have different, all language can have different contexts. So
I thought you were talking about getting it in the context of non-duality. I thought you were talking about
even in the non. I hear that in non-duality, but very often, in that context, sometimes I was wondering if what that even means, because it kind of sets up I either have it or I don't have it in the non-dual context, and you're back into kind of a dual, you know, I wonder if they, whatever that really means to them. Because to me, it's still, you're making a distinction between I got it and I don't got it, even in the non-dual context. And my own sense is to leave it all aside and not worry about, did I get it or don't get it? Because then you get, the mind tries to grasp at it, to either attach to it or reject it. And
it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's just a game.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it
yeah,
would be boring. I'm wondering what Sylvain has to say to this. Sylvain, sweetheart.
I haven't said very much so far. I've been listening because it is all that is new to me. So I'm really interested to attempt to understand. And I've been wondering all this evening is, are you all searching for something? Because it is a discussion with people saying, their views. Are you trying to come to an agreement? Are you searching for something? And if you are, what is it?
No, here's just entertaining myself.
There's no coming to an agreement. At least that's, this is not about that everybody say, well, yeah, we all agree. No, I mean, the funny thing is, agreeing or not agreeing is just what seems to be happening. The agreement may arise. Tony may agree with Rosa, Andrea may agree with Gio.
I don't think so.
But this so-called agreeing or the lack of agreeing is just innocently playing. There's no one as a separated you doing the agreeing, able to let it go, able to hold it on.
That's where the whole issue lands.
In fact, it's Rosa's policy, which she has stated officially that she will say the opposite.
Tony, sweetheart, shut up. Shut up, sweetheart. Gio was talking and you're fucking interrupting him for the third time.
Don't interrupt everybody. I mean,
I love you.
In the end of the day, it seems that it's about not being separate. I mean, I get it or I don't get it.
No, Gio, it's not. It's at the end of whatsoever. It's not about being not separated or separated. No, of course not.
But if there is someone who says that he gets it or he doesn't get it,
well, but
it somehow it doesn't feel right. I don't know what I'm saying, what I'm speaking, but somehow
I love it. Of course you don't know.
To be someone seems not to be right.
You're right, Gio. You're right. There is something to get, but what there is to get, already.
But that is, the idea that there is something to get or the lack of that idea is already not gettable.
Of course.
So the feeling or the idea that there's something to get or the lack of that idea is already not gettable. Tell me. It's just simply what it is. There's no one able to get that there's something to get or not. So
it's just simply what it is. It's so simple.
It's too simple. I mean,
simple.
Yeah, but what I don't find so simple is when someone appears inside here, separate and he may say, "Oh yes, everything is non-dual. It doesn't matter that I feel separate." It just doesn't ring well.
Yes, Gio.
I wrote a post to you about this, Gio. Did you read it? I wrote a post to you, which Andrea also got into.
I could talk about that, but you won't let me finish.
But Gio, please. When you say what I find not simple is when this is arising, but the whole claim that you find it simple or not simple is already simply this.
Yeah.
I have an idea,
right?
Gio. I have an impulse.
Yeah.
I have an impulse. Let's do a little bit, not in this meeting, but maybe afterwards in another. Let's go into this, diving into this beautiful emotion or feeling of this is not it. It doesn't feel right. Fuck, I don't like it. It doesn't feel easy. It just is.
If there is no separation, wouldn't we eventually all be the same?
Well, but you know, it's not about the sameness or not same. How you mean with we all?
Well,
I mean, you know, the idea that so the claim that there is separation or not is already not something separate. So this is not about, well, if there is no separation, then blah, 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 this or this or that.
Yeah.
That itself is already not separated.
No escape. No
You
escape.
cannot take several people and then glue them together and say that they are not separate. It's not
Of
that
course you
way.
can.
I was hoping you could do that.
You can say that, but there is no separation from the beginning, from the start already, right?
So
So
yes,
there is no one separate to be glued together.
I mean, the sense of separation is already not separated. Tell me from what?
Yeah. Of course, I understand it. Yes.
Well, I find that actually there are two sides for me. There is one which is the mind, so the ideas and discussion, words. The other is the doing.
Yeah, well, that's equally the mind, because that's the same mind saying, well, you have the mind and you have something which is doing, which is do.
And you're doing the speaking.
So I
Yeah.
mean, it's both. We can say that's both mind. There's nothing else but mind, you know, mental principles.
Fabrication.
So
Yeah.
why do we need to know any of that at all?
Oh, well, but this is
Very
not
good
about
question.
I mean, this is a misunderstanding. This, you know,
Beautiful.
this meeting is not about knowing something or getting something. So this is not persuading that we all should know this. No, this is just simply an expressing. At the same time, there may be a question, why should we know this? Well, there's no need to know this. I mean, there's nothing to know. And at the same time, there can be an idea that this can be known, which is already this.
Sandra, the one is appearing as many.
Well, I wouldn't say there is one, you know, there isn't. So,
Well, you said not two, right? So
yeah, but neither one. There's not a one, you
Yeah.
know, there's not a one thing which is expressing as many things, you know?
For a lot of people listening to this so-called non-dual message or whatever this is, there is something to get. And this thing is coaches to the dropping of the seeking energy. And then in a way, when this stops, they would claim, yeah, I got it, no matter how they put it. I understand this. I had the insight. It was seen or whatsoever. And there is just simply like the neediness to understand something or whatsoever and not. Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah, like I said, this
yeah,
is
the seeking
about
energy,
becoming.
the seeking energy dropping, that's a very, I think, a very important, significant, point to make.
But there's
Because
nothing
because
wrong with
there is a
seeking.
falling away of that kind of self-reflective thinking,
But then I want to get
undoubtedly.
it.
But
I want
it's
to get that one.
I just mentioned this because in a way, I don't know, for me it's not worth mentioning. If there is a seeking energy, like the energy to, I don't know what, to find a new job or I don't know what, the so-called seeking energy, the for the truth, for the higher self, for the thing which is not
Argue.
changing, for nothing being everything. It's I don't know, for me it's the same. Blah blah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with seeking. This is not about the end of seeking. This is just the illumination that there's no separated you doing the seeking, able to find something. You know, seeking or not seeking is just simply what is. This is not about the end of seeking. There's nothing wrong with seeking for car keys, seeking for, cheap food at the local store, seeking for a new house or whatever. You know, seeking or the lack of seeking is just simply what seems to happen. There's no one outside the idea or the thought I'm seeking or I am not seeking, doing the seeking or not.
Who are you talking about? I mean, what I mean is, if you encounter a seeker, someone who says, I am seeking, then there's no point in saying to that person, there's no separation.
Oh, but this is not
It
about
won't
making
change
a point,
anything, will
Tony.
it?
No,
Is what,
of
sorry?
course. But yeah, yes, but
It's-
now you have the idea that this is not about helping so-called poor little seekers. This is not looking down on seekers or whatever. You know, this is not
But I didn't
about.
say it was.
No, but
No, I didn't say it was. I'm saying when you make that statement that there is no separation, which is my experience, if I said that to a seeker, there wouldn't be any point.
yeah, but it
If
doesn't
they
matter
felt,
if it's a point.
if-
Maybe he feels that it's very helpful or not. You know, this is not about, you know, a so-called effect. Any effect may happen when this is heard, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I'm talking
Help-
about a
Tony,
particular.
Tony, this year, like Xander, is really not attracting the mass, the seeking mass. Maybe you've noticed this. There are only a couple of
What?
characters who are like the way Xander is expressing. It's really not attractive for people who are keen on getting something, loving to lose the seeking energy. Or call it what you want.
Yeah, I understand his approach completely, and I have absolutely no problem with it. I'm absolutely totally in sync with what Sander says, but I'm just making a point that if you were to encounter someone who identified as a seeker, then there wouldn't be much point in saying there's no separation if that seeker believes there is. I'm just thinking about the non-duality teachers and the people in their thousands who go to satsangs.
Oh, totally.
And they are seeking, right? I'm just making a point here.
They should go to
They-
Rupert Spira. They simply should go to Rupert Spira. They will get everything there.
Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. So these seekers who go to
including
satsangs,
awareness.
because they go there because they're seekers, a lot of these non-duality teachers are saying, well, there's no self, there's no separate self, but there's no point in doing that, because it's not going to change anything. It's just going to create a mental construct. Oh, I'm not separate. Oh, this is a new belief I've got today. I'm not separate. So I'm just saying there's no point in doing that. It's just that point. That was all it was.
But there's no need to change anything.
Is that your opinion?
It's just what is
Well,
is.
no, but that's your opinion, right? No, but Andrea,
How
that's
can you
your
have an
opinion, isn't
opinion
it?
that what is is? It's just what is. It's not
I
an
love
opinion.
I love it. I love it. Look at this. Look at this. I love it how
No,
Tony is now
it's your
trying.
opinion.
Yeah,
No,
I love it how
this is Andrea's opinion. She made a statement. She's making an opinion that there's
Tony.
nothing to change.
Tony, call it what you want.
I mean, calling it her.
Call it what you
opinion.
want.
Yeah, calling it
But
her
you see,
opinion or not is what it is. Tony.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say, look, I'm personally expressing this opinion that there is nothing to do, and then defend it by saying that's what is, as if it's some absolute thing that couldn't be disputed.
It's
your
beautiful.
opinion,
Tony,
Andrea.
Tony,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Tony, it's beautiful. It's beautiful how you are perceiving what Andrea is saying, for example, and how I am perceiving this. Completely different. And I love your kind of strange way to grab into. I don't know. It's so beautiful. So it's so manipulative.
Because
I love it.
You're not examining this closely enough. I mean, I would say you're saying that's just what is, but you're expressing an opinion to me, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm,
beautiful,
I'm not
Tony.
saying.
Tony, enjoy.
And I'm expressing.
Enjoy.
Yeah, of
Enjoy.
course I'm enjoying it. Of course I'm
Obviously.
enjoying it. But anyway,
But-
look, that's your opinion, and that's fine. Everybody should be able to express their opinion.
Beautiful. I love it. But Andrea, I'm with you. I also see it like just this. Whatever.
Including it's not, no, it's something else, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
No, I
Exactly.
don't agree. That's also.
And I love to disagree with Tony.
Of
Yeah.
I
course
love
you
to
do.
interrupt it.
It's in your
Totally.
nature. It's in
I
your
love this
nature.
dance. And also in your nature, whatever this is. Bullshit. My nature. Oh my gosh.
Disagreement is a wonderful thing. It's
I
it's
love
what
it.
keeps humans
That's the energy.
continually
That's the
moving
drive.
forward.
Yeah.
Inventing stuff. you know, all of that. It's
I love
you know,
it.
debate is very important, and if you're talking about this kind of seeking, then it demands the most brutal honesty that you can imagine. If you're not prepared to be brutally honest and examine the statements that you make, you're not being brutally honest with yourself. You're just adopting a belief system, perhaps. You know,
Why
you have
not?
to be. Well, yeah,
But
why
that's
not? Is
well,
okay
Tony,
too.
Tony,
Yeah.
sweetheart, you know, saying you're just adopting a new belief system is in a way just a new belief that someone is adopting a new belief system.
Yeah, of course it is.
So in a way, there's
But it's just what's happening.
yes, but I mean, you know, there's nowhere to go in that way. You know, I mean, I understand what you are saying. I mean, there are many people calling this a belief or an idea or a construct or you know, but that is just more beliefs, more ideas, more constructs. I mean,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
else? So
Dr. Lynch and sweetheart, Tony loves fairy tales. He loves listening to
I
himself.
exist. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I exist in a world of meaning. I mean, I don't look. You can speak for yourselves, but I can only speak for myself. I live in a world of meaning, which is perfectly
which is beautiful,
acceptable.
Tony. I mean, that's yes. So
Hmm.
claiming
Well,
I
no, there's
live
no
in a world
so.
of
Yeah, thanks for
meaning.
sharing, Tony. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Love it.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the
There's
sense or the belief or
there's
the
a
claim.
strange kind of psychology about this. Maybe Claire's got something to say about this. There's a strange kind of psychology about this kind of discussion, where on the one hand you've got this position where look, this could happen or that could happen. It's all happening innocently, but then when something comes up that doesn't seem to fit into that, then it's no, it's not about
No,
this. It's
which is
about
this
this.
also, Tony? This is not
Psychologically, it's quite
something.
interesting.
No,
Anyway,
wait.
that's all I'm saying.
You
It's the
talk
game.
now
Just a game.
as if something else which is excluded. No, you know, it's all included. There's nothing which is excluded. So yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. You're completely right. That's it already.
Mm.
So finding
You are right, Tony.
strange and then
You are
say
right.
until this or that is already this.
Tony, look, it's very simple. You
Right?
are always right. You are always
Yes.
right, sweetheart.
I mean,
Just
you can
chill,
never
No,
wrong.
relax.
I wouldn't say that. But all I can do is just speak from my own experience. I mean, I can't do anything else other than that, right?
Yes.
Of course. It's so
And
beautiful.
so all that needs to happen is it's a very simple thing. If I say something as if it's the truth, then all you have to do is accept it or reject it, and that's all you have to do.
Or
We
ignore
have
it.
been doing it.
Or ignore
We
it.
have been
Yes, or
doing that.
ignore it. If it's you, Rosa, then it'll obviously be that one. But
Gio?
anyway, that's all you have to do.
Gio.
Yeah.
Come on, Gio.
Yeah. What?
Speak.
Speak. I wanted to say something.
You have the floor.
Before Tony starts again.
Yeah, before I start again.
I don't know
Drink some
what to say.
tea.
Really. Not right now.
Fair enough.
Oh
Claire,
no.
because Tony was asking Claire something. Claire, come on, what's your therapeutic,
Approach.
approach on this? Are we all mental idiots? Is this
Absolutely. Totally.
dissociated states of being? Is this denying? What is it? Come on.
For sure.
Give it a go.
I feel like I'm being pulled into agreeing with the fact that there are problems or that there's something that could be wrong, and I sort of feel
What's
that
wrong about that?
I don't know, nothing really. But I think with
All therapists say that.
I think with sort of non-duality, everything is okay, as you could say. But then with the duality, you know, there is also the you know, we need to be kind of practical with that. So you would say that in the world of duality, things might not be, but in the world of non-duality, everything is. So I think the ultimate paradox we need to reconcile is the paradox between duality and non-duality.
But there's nothing to reconcile. There's no two able to merge into one.
Well, this is what I love about Claire. She just talks from a perspective of common sense.
Right, Sander.
Oh,
Yeah, but
it's trying to get on my
yes,
good side, Tony.
yeah, you know, I mean, I'm not saying
Well,
it's not common sense, so you can call it whatever you want. You can call it the therapy, common sense, you know. And
well, I called it common sense. There's no
No.
point in saying, well, I could call it this. I called it common sense.
But you know, it's based on the idea that there is two which needs to merge, which itself is already not two. The idea that there are two is already not separated. It's already not two. It's
But we
already
need to-
not
That's
two.
your idea. No, but that's your idea.
Now saying it's
No,
my
no,
idea
Claire.
or someone's idea is equally just simply
Yeah,
already
Claire.
is, Tony. So
Claire, is
I'm
is
not-
it like this? Is it like this, as Sander said, that you're trying to in a way merge the non-duality and the duality?
Well, I am in duality, but I can't seem to do anything but speak in, in words.
Yeah, well, I mean, sweetheart, the idea or the sense or the suggestion I am in duality is already not dual. I mean, in what? Where are you? In what? Tell me, in what are you?
I don't know what you want me to say, Sander.
It's all mind. It's just mind games.
I want
It's
to
just
understand.
No.
You say I'm in. So where are you in? Tell me. Who is?
no mind
Or
games.
shall I say I don't exist? Then we go into non-duality.
No, I'm not saying you don't exist. I say there's no separated solid you outside the claim that you exist or not. That's something else. I'm not saying you're not there. I'm saying there's no you separated from the suggesting you are here or not. There's just the suggestion.
Again, it's hurt. It's
I'm here.
hurt. Is it hurt? Is it hurt? And it may hurt.
But I'm intrigued when you say, well, I'm in duality. So tell me how that is. How you mean I'm in duality? In what are you? Who is in what? Who is in what besides the idea
how
I
I
am in
feel.
what something?
I guess it's how it feels, because you know, to be in
Or how's it feeling?
be God and floating.
How does it feel?
Okay, but now is it the feeling? So first it was a thought, and now it's the feeling. So tell me, how does it feel? Because how is the feeling to be not in something? Tell me. How do you know how it feels to be not in something?
Again, it's impossible to put that into. Well, that's sort of the very peaceful. You know, to be not in something is beyond words. The
But
close.
no. But you know, now you're just giving a certain type of description. So, I mean,
I think Rosa, can you help me out here?
The teacher, Claire, look, this is already just for fun here. So the teacher called Sander Lynch and is not happy with the answer which you gave. Try it again, girl. How does it feel?
I feel like
I
I'm
mean,
back at school.
so there's a feeling of being in something, and then they're suggesting, well, when I'm not in, you know, so there's an instant label of a certain bodily sensation. This labeling is innocently what seems to be happening. There's a thought arising claiming that feeling to be in something or out something, right?
Gio's got his hand up. I'm going to deflect.
Good move.
Okay,
coward.
I'm going to say
Okay.
something that probably I said before, but
Doesn't matter.
are we able to look at all this which is happening, this light, these sounds, these sensations, these perceptions, as one single sphere of appearances? And when I say appearances, it means that it is completely insubstantial, indeterminate. It is indeterminate because it is happening inside the human mind. And of course, the human mind is also indeterminate because it is happening in the same human mind. So it is a circular, infinite regression. There is no mind. But we are left with this sphere of appearances where everything is just an appearance and everything is equally just an appearance. Now, to that, many people will say, okay, I am awareness and I'm looking at this from outside. Okay, many people stay in this stance for several years. I stayed there for a few years. I am awareness, looking at this sphere of appearances where everything is equally indeterminate and equally without meaning. That seems quite fair. But then you apply neti. I mean, I am not that, all of those. But then you apply neti, including awareness that you think that you are. Because if you are able to identify an awareness and you say, I am not that, what is left? At one point, nothing is left, and you are everything.
Well, not even nothing. You know, nothing is just
Not
another
even.
thing which seems to be left then. I would say,
So-
you know, outside the idea that there's something left, there's nothing left, and not even nothing. So there seems to be an innocent objectifying, a functioning.
May I ask a question, as I'm ignorant really in this matter? When did non-duality's concept started, and who started it?
I think one of the first texts written about non-duality was Lao Tse, is the Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching.
Right.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Before that, maybe certainly other people had non-duality ideas, but there are not much traces, texts written. Like Advaita Vedanta is very old already, and the very Buddhist philosophy is what, 5,000 years, 6,000 years, I don't know.
I mean,
The Upanishads go
a-
back
a
about
number
3,000
of-
years.
a number of religions and a number of philosophies do agree on the fact there's only one at the end. So it's a question whether we are, like somebody else made that comparison before, that we're a drop of water, and then we are both the drop and the sea when we fall back into it. So in a way, that oneness or that we're talking about comes eventually. But in the meantime, we are separate, being the outcome of the same place. But
Well,
we represent different aspects of it.
Well, I mean,
There is no one to be
And
separate.
when I'm listening to you all, for me, you know, looking from here, you are all separate because you represent several trends and ideas which are personal to you.
well, but you know, Sylvian, the idea or the claim you are all separate is already not separated.
Why explain that to me,
Well,
please?
you know, the sense you are separated to me is already just simply completely this. It's not separated from something else.
Well, I know I'm from a practical point of view, because I work very much with what I see as the practical. I can see you and I are the same because we have the same
Yeah, but that
need.
seeing is already not separated from what seems to be suggested to be something else.
Well, I'm sorry, it's me. You know, nothing to do with anybody else. I do not understand this.
Of course not. I'm not understanding this too, sweetheart.
Oh, no, thank you.
So I mean,
If I,
so if there is a sense of separation or a claim of separation, it's already not separate. Separate from what?
Yeah.
From where?
Well, you know, from where I stand, I can
From the
see
idea
things.
that it's not separate, which is already not separate. It's just another idea which is not separated from something else. So, I mean,
Yeah, Sylvain, what Sander is saying, that there is no separation in a cosmic sense of view, in a universal.
I understand that completely.
Right.
But I think as we are,
there is no other kind of separation. It's
So-
only the universe. There is only that.
So-
There are persons here speaking, separate persons. It's already the one universal, non-separate thing happening.
you know, Gio, that you mentioned the Tao Te Ching, and in the beginning of it, it starts with paradoxes because it says, if I remember correctly, the Tao that can be named or described is not the Tao, and yet The Tao is the mother of the 10,000 things. The one shows up as the two, the three, the four, and the five. These are paradoxes. So wherever you go, if you take any position, the other one, there is no right answer, but it's kind of seeing the different facets of we could call it a paradox at best.
Maybe, sweetheart, you told me that you cannot go for too long. Maybe you want to round it up
Right. Yeah, good reminder.
as your personal assistant.
What else? Yeah, correct. Let me see the time. Well, yeah, we can give it another 5 minutes.
So when we say that there is no separation, is that we are this universal that we don't know what is. And it is not personal at all. I mean, when I say it's not personal, I mean that there is not an entity inside this body that could be separate from what is universal, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense, even logically. It would be an absurdity to imagine that there is an entity here that is separate from the universal whatever.
Imagine all the people.
The people living life in peace.
Yeah. Love it. Tony,
Sylvain,
sweetheart.
Sylvain, this is just a conceptual discussion about these principles, but the intention is to have a direct experience of that one indivisible reality.
No.
Because all the people here who talk about non-duality on Facebook, they're talking about it because it comes from the tradition of Advaita Vedanta.
This is Zoom, sweetheart.
If it
not
wasn't for Advaita Vedanta, they wouldn't be talking about it on Facebook. So that's an important thing to understand. It doesn't just drop out of the sky.
Not only Advaita, there are other kind of philosophies.
Yeah, there are others, but most people talk about Advaita Vedanta, which is very specific in claiming that what you see as the world is just an appearance in consciousness. So the Western teachers who came from India after there was a guru called Papaji. So he had these followers like Muji, and you've probably heard of him, who went to see Papaji, and then they came back to the West. And then you had this whole movement of Western non-duality teachers, which come from that, came from that tradition of Advaita Vedanta.
And one of them is Tony.
Right.
Well, maybe, may not, but anyway, the point is that what you see discussed on Facebook is only there because of Advaita Vedanta and the way that the Western teachers, brought that over to the West. But then something happened. Something happened that the traditional Advaita Vedanta, which doesn't deny the individual, somehow that changed into what was called Neo-Advaita.
Does not.
But wait, Tony.
Anyway,
just to be sure.
You've only got 5 minutes left. This might take some time.
Wait. So
you just invented that.
Yes. The whole,
Sylvain asked a question about the tradition, and I'm trying to answer it.
It's a beautiful answer. I'm not disagreeing, but claiming this to be in that way or not, this is not claiming that it is in that way or not. So saying this is based on Advaita Vedanta and what is needed is a direct experience or not. Yes, that may just simply how it is seen, claiming this to be in this way or that way. So this is not about the wrong or the right way of Advaita Vedanta, I would say.
I'm not talking, you're raising the question of right and wrong. I'm not talking about right and wrong. I'm just talking historically about what happened.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with Facebook groups about Advaita Vedanta. The interest to talk or to see, the seeing this in a certain way or seeing it in a completely different way is just simply what is, I would say. And agreeing with Tony or disagreeing or thinking that he talks too much and others are talking too less may happen, yes. It's just simply
It's all within the same sphere of bullshit.
Beautiful, Gio. I love it. I
It
love
it
it.
was a beautiful, you know, explanation, Tony, about I mean, yeah, what to say, all these labels.
Well, I haven't finished yet. I need another 30 minutes.
Save it for the next one, because I'm going to kick you out.
For today, but thank you very much for your attempt to explain to me. It's valuable to me. I'd like to understand.
Sylvain, by
It's
the
a
way,
pleasure, Sylvain.
you can go with ChatGPT, just ask whatever. It's going to puke out all the information very beautifully.
Yeah,
And it
that's
will create a new philosophy just for me. That's the danger of ChatGPT. We'll do it just as I ask it to do.
Oh, it is beautiful, right?
I mean, the Chinese have invented a new one, which is even better, apparently.
yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Oh, Deep Seek.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
Oh yeah, I've already had a go with it. I downloaded the app.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What are you seeking
So
to?
the Chinese got you now.
Yeah, I'm a traitor now. I'm a traitor to China. I've been using this Chinese AI. But don't ask it about Tiananmen Square.
That's right. Doesn't have any answers on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I will consider it more and trying to find out more for myself.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Wayne, just Google, just get on Google and you know, just do a search for Advaita Vedanta and you know, have a bit of a read and
Yeah, sure.
see what the traditional teaching is all about.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Boom! Sweethearts
Boom.
on the LinkedIn, thanks. Thanks for
But
tonight.
just
beautiful.
one thing that popped up here, half a minute. That Advaita Vedanta is the via positiva. It's the positive, because they say that there is the absolute, and they call it Brahman, or they call it awareness, or they call it consciousness. And there is the other kind of teaching, which is the via negativa, which is Buddhism. They never talk about something that is absolute. They don't talk about, they don't mention it. They
Yeah, I love
leave
it.
They leave it for the listener to learn or not to learn, whatever.
Well, if you read what the Buddha said in the Nikayas, which are the earliest teachings, you might be a bit shocked.
So I'm going to
Sandra.
interrupt the show here, sweethearts. Sander Lynchen, so go for your date now. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
joining. Have a beautiful night. Gio, Claire, Sylvan, Andrea, beautiful there on the holiday place. I love the pics. Rosa, Garrett, Tony, Harvey, take care. Have a beautiful night.
Take
day,
care.
morning.
Love
Take care.
you.
Tony, we talk
Bye-bye.
about that later, okay?
Later.
About the
Later
Buddhist
where? Later
in the
where?
Facebook